Welcome back to the Williams Elleby Howard Easter YouTube channel. I'm Joel and this is Jared. Today we are going to go over the top 3 pieces of evidence that each of us believe are the most important things for your personal injury case in order to win it. I'm going to give you my top 3 and Jared's going to give you his top 3. But before we do that, if an ad pops up during this video from YouTube that says fill out this form and we'll send you a bunch of cash for your car wreck, that is complete BS. And it's not lawyers, it's marketers that are going to sell your information to law firms. So don't fall for any ads that may pop up on our videos that say, fill out this form if you've been in a wreck, you could be qualified for this program, this cash, blah, blah, blah. It's complete BS. So anyway, if you want a real lawyer, skip that, call a real lawyer. And if you want these real lawyers' top 3 things to win your personal injury case, well, let's go. What do you start with, Jared?
I think for me, because I do a whole lot of car wreck cases, it's property damage, photos of property damage, an idea of how much damage is done to both vehicles involved in a wreck. You know, it's pretty common for my clients to come in with photos of damage to their own vehicle, but it's not as common, you know, when you're out there at the scene to remember to take photos of the other person's vehicle. Because I know I've had a lot of cases over the years where maybe the damage to my client's car doesn't look that bad. And in which case the insurance company makes these BS arguments of like, well, there's no way Miss Jones could have been hurt in this wreck. Look at her car. It was barely even damaged at all. But come to find out, you look at the other car and it's completely smashed in. You know, it tells a very different story. The crashworthiness of both vehicles can vary a lot depending on how they hit. And those pictures tell a lot of the story about, you know, how big was the impact. And I think we've both seen that jurors are drawn into wanting the whole story. And, you know, those big damage photos can show a lot about, you know, how hard the impact was, how the injuries could have occurred. So for me, the property damage is a huge piece of evidence in any of my cases.
Yep. My number 1 was photos and video. So I'll skip over what you just talked about and expand it a little bit. It doesn't even matter if it's a fault. Like if you can take video or photos of what you fell over, whether it's, you know, a defect in stairs, a foreign substance on a floor, anything like that is definitely helpful. Photos of injuries, videos of the scene. If you can just get out your iPhone instead of just taking pictures. Pictures are great. But if you can video the whole scene, that makes it even better because then you're getting audio with the video and you never know what somebody might say that gets caught on that audio as well. So, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a picture of a thing that made you fall, a video of a wreck scene, a video of what made you fall. They can be closed circuit cameras. All of those type things can be very helpful because if it's a disputed liability case, meaning I say that it's your fault and you say that it's my fault, then that stuff can be critical towards convincing a jury who's right and who's wrong.
Especially setting the scene with lighting conditions. You and I are talking about a case right now of, you know, if you fell on something that maybe you could have seen, but it was dark or the lighting was bad or whatever, it can really put the jury in the scene to know what you were experiencing when you fell.
Yep. So I think we're consistent on number 1 is take pictures, take video. If you see somebody else taking pictures or videos, see if you can get those. If there's closed circuit cameras, get that in for those videos. Just go to the ends of the earth to find photographs and videos or take them yourself of any kind of personal injury that you may have. Oh, and your injury.
Yeah.
Right? Bruises, broken bones, cast, all that. All right, what's your number 2?
Number 2 for me is my client's medical history. And I don't mean just the medical history related to the wreck, which is vitally important, or the injury, I should say, not always a wreck, but the past medical history, what my clients were going through in the months or years leading up to the wreck, because that can be very telling for a number of reasons. Number 1, the obvious reason is if you already had the injury and then you fell, obviously we can't claim the injury in the same manner. If they told Joel he needed surgery last week and he fell this week, we can't say necessarily that the fall caused the surgery. But we can use that evidence to show that maybe the fall or the wreck exacerbated that injury that was already there. Regardless, what we don't want to have happen is tell an insurance company or a defense lawyer inconsistent information. We don't need Joel saying, I've never hurt my back in my life. And then, the insurance company finds 10 visits where he had a back surgery and he needed a back surgery and everything else. That prior history can help us just be consistent in telling the whole story, keeping credibility, and really dealing with, what's going on, what was going on prior, and how the incident affected those injuries, particularly circling back to kind of the low impact situation where the insurance company wants to talk about, well, there wasn't much property damage in this wreck. How could have they been hurt? Well, sometimes people who, have had prior injuries are more susceptible to a new injury. They're not as durable as they once were. So those small wrecks can actually cause big injuries. But without knowing that prior medical history, there's no way for us to tell the whole story and make sure, we advocate for our clients.
Yep. All right. So my number 2 is independent witnesses. So anybody that is not bringing a claim or that's not getting sued that saw what happened is vitally important in the case. Because if it's a he said, she said, you're probably going to lose. But if you've got a witness to back you up along with the photos and video, then that's great. But it's not just for what happened that hurt you. It's also about what treatment you received for the injuries that you claim you sustained and whatever the event is. So doctors, nurses, physical therapists, chiropractors, all of these people that are treating you for the injuries will be able to, in most states, add value to the case because they are able to say, especially if it's not like something obvious like a broken bone, they will be able to say, oh yeah, that herniated disc in Jared's neck, or that torn labrum in Jared's shoulder, or that strained MCL, that's traumatic. I can tell by the imaging, I can tell that it was a recent injury and not something that developed over time or not something that's been there for years and years. So independent witnesses that saw what happened, independent medical professionals that can talk about seeing the injury itself and being able to relate that to the traumatic event that injured you.
And then also independent witnesses of how this wreck or injury affected your life.
Yeah.
Some of the best witnesses I've seen at trial might be coworkers or bosses, people who, particularly bosses and people that work with you, or maybe teachers if you're in school, people that really have no dog in the fight whatsoever. They're not your friends, they're not your family, they're people that work with you, they have a relationship with you, but they don't stand to gain anything from it. And sometimes, a boss can come in and talk about how your work suffered or how your personality changed when you were dealing with an injury, and maybe it's permanent. But those people are really great witnesses as well because they are completely independent of the situation, but can really speak to, how it affected you.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Number 3 for me is any of the documents we get from open records requests. That can be 911 calls, police reports, body cam, dash cam video from the officers that respond to the scene. All of those things really help tell the story for so many different reasons. If it's disputed liability, sometimes the body camera of what people say at the scene can tip the scale one way or the other as to who was at fault. 911 calls are great because you can identify independent witnesses, people who saw the wreck happen. If there's a dispute about who was at fault, sometimes you get the 911 audio and it becomes very clear. You got 3 people that called in and said, the black truck ran the red light and you're not in the black truck. So it helps really nail down, and then we can find those people, get their information, try to call them to trial if necessary. And also the police reports, the arrest reports, if that happened. Sometimes we'll have something that comes in that seems like a normal car wreck, and we get the reports. It turns out that the other driver was DUI or was driving impaired or driving without a license. There's a lot of good information that comes out of all the reports that are publicly available. You just have to know how to request them, get them, review them, and see what's there.
Yep. So my number 3 is social media. And that can be good for my client or bad for my client. Same for the defendant, right? So social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Snap, to the extent that you can capture that stuff, all of it is just a treasure trove of information that can help or hurt a case. So good idea if you're injured in a wreck to not post about it on social media. Actually, it's probably a good idea until your claim is resolved to just go AWOL on social media. Don't delete your account or anything like that, but just stop posting. Make it where people can't tag you on it, because they might catch you in a picture doing something that makes it seem like you're not hurt, or you're not hurt as bad as you say you are. But it's just that one moment in time. It's not the whole story, but it can be taken out of context and hurt in your case. Also, for the person that caused the injury, like let's say it's a car wreck or an assault or something like that, if that individual is posting a bunch of just outlandish garbage on their social media, or they're out there doing drugs or drinking or doing whatever, just partying until all hours of the night, man, that's great. Like, first thing I'm doing is going to their social media, pulling that stuff, saving it, asking them about it in depositions and in testimony. And lots of times, if nothing else, it's going to damage their credibility and make it seem like they're not a responsible person, because that's ultimately what the case is about, is who is responsible and who is irresponsible that led to the harm that we're alleging was caused. So, all right, well, those are Jared's top 3 and my top 3. Again, these ads that pop up on our videos, they're not our ads. They're not contracting with us. That's Father YouTube putting those ads on our videos, and those, hey, fill out this form if you've been in a wreck, you're entitled to a bunch of cash, it's just a bunch of garbage is what it is. So just scroll right past that. Don't pay attention to it. Certainly don't believe that that's affiliated with our law firm in any way, because it most certainly is not. But anyway, if this video has been helpful to you, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, we will see you next week. As personal injury lawyers, we love what we do, and we're happy to share the experience we've gained in personal injury law. To help our family, friends, and YouTube subscribers, we've shared over 300 personal injury videos covering various injury topics. So if you'd like to gain more knowledge that may help protect yourself or a loved one when you're on the roads or out in public, check out our channel or view our playlist of shorts for quick personal injury tips.